In a charming, picturesque town nestled among rolling hills, a courtroom buzzed with subdued murmurs and a palpable sense of suspense. The trial of Emily Watson, a devoted mother accused of a serious crime, had drawn the attention of the entire community. Seated in the defendant's box, Emily's anxiety was palpable as her gaze darted across the room, her heart beating with the loudness of a drum. The reality of her situation seemed surreal, almost too difficult to grasp. The events leading to her current predicament had unfolded swiftly and unexpectedly. Just a few days earlier, Emily was tending to her front yard garden when she was startled by the abrupt arrival of police officers. They quickly handcuffed her and recited her Miranda rights. Confused and disoriented, she initially resisted, unable to understand why she was being detained. Her resistance faded as the officers explained the charges against her, a moment that marked the beginning of her nightmare. Taking care of her son Alex on her own had always been her priority, which made the first night of her ordeal overwhelmingly stressful. She panicked, desperately wondering about his whereabouts until she discovered he had stayed over at a friend's house. However, the relief was short-lived as worry about his well-being and the impact of her legal troubles on him persisted. Heeding the advice to secure legal representation due to the seriousness of the charges, Emily made the tough decision to use her savings for a lawyer. The thought of being found guilty and potentially losing custody of Alex haunted her. Unbeknownst to her, the situation would soon become even more complicated as Alex was also called to testify. Throughout the trial, Emily was steadfast in her belief in both her and her son's innocence. The possibility of her son discovering the nature of the accusations was heartbreaking. Lenny, her lawyer, tried to prepare her, advising on her courtroom demeanor and testimony. But Emily struggled with the idea of sticking to a scripted defense. As the trial progressed, Emily's focus was repeatedly pulled back to the present each time a new witness took the stand. Her composure was tested, especially when a close friend, Rivera, was called to testify. A thorn in, Rose promised to tell nothing but the truth, a solemn moment that underscored the gravity of the situation. Emily had never been familiar with the intricacies of legal proceedings, having only seen courtroom trooms in films and television shows. Her lawyer hadn't fully explained his strategy, preferring to keep her focused on her testimony. Both lawyers, however, saw the importance of Rose's testimony, each hoping it would benefit their side. The atmosphere in the courtroom shifted markedly when Rose approached the witness stand. Emily felt a heavy burden as their eyes met. Rose's expression was one of concern and uncertainty. As Rose began to speak, the room was enveloped in a tense silence. Her words initially painted a picture of Emily as a loving, dedicated mother who had gone to great lengths to support her son through his challenges. However, as the prosecutors cross-examined Rose, they began to twist her statements, suggesting that Emily's actions might have been driven by obsession rather than affection. "You claim menace. Watson would do anything for her son. Does that include committing the crime she's accused of?" asked the prosecutor, his tone insinuating more than asking. Rose, caught off guard, faltered under the intense scrutiny of the courtroom, her uncertainty evident as she struggled to respond. "I don't think so. Emily is incapable of such things," she stammered, her confidence shaken. The prosecutor continued to probe, questioning the extent of Emily's protective nature. If Alex were in pain, what MS? Watson do everything possible to stop at this line of questioning seemed designed to paint Emily as someone who might take extreme measures to protect her child. Yet Rose hesitated, her anxiety palpable, before affirming her belief in Emily's protective instincts, albeit nervously. The discussion then turned to a contentious incident involving another parent, Mrs. James, who had clashed with Emily over her educational methods. According to some parents, Emily had vehemently objected to Mrs. James' approach, which she believed was detrimental to Alex's well-being. This revelation added a layer of complexity to the case, as it showcased Emily's confrontational side when it came to her son's education. Emily remembered her confrontation with Mrs. James vividly. She had expressed her concerns forcefully, driven by a strong maternal instinct to protect her son from what she perceived as harmful influences. Her actions were bold, perhaps too bold, and this incident had now become a focal point of the trial. As the trial continued, the prosecutor painted a picture of Emily as a fiercely protective mother who might overstep boundaries for her son's sake. This portrayal brought tension to the courtroom, as the implications of such a characterization were significant. In the defense, however, aimed to highlight Emily's dedication and love, emphasizing her extensive involvement in school activities, her efforts to address issues through proper channels, and her commitment to her son's psychological health. Witnesses for the defense included school officials and neighbors, who spoke of Emily's altruism and her active participation in community and school events. They depicted her as a pillar of the community, often going above and beyond for the welfare of her son and other children. However, the prosecution was not done building their case. They introduced evidence that hinted at questionable activities, including unknown phone numbers in Emily's records and instances where she was unaccountably absent from important meetings. The insinuation was clear there was more to Emily than met the eye. As the trial reached its climax, the courtroom awaited Alex's testimony with bated breath. When he finally took the stand, his small voice filled the room. He spoke of his mother's love and protection, recounting instances where she had stood up for him. His words moved the courtroom, portraying Emily not just as a mother but as his hero. The trial of Emily Watson thus encapsulated more than just the legal proceedings. It became a narrative of a mother's boundless love, a community's mixed perceptions, and the complex interplay between law and human emotions. As the jury deliberated, the town awaited a verdict that would not only decide Emily's fate, but also reflect the community's values and understanding of justice.